Into Focus. I'm Sheila Smoot.
And I'm Rhonda Robinson. Thank you so much for joining us.
And today we are talking about business, small business, but the biggest businessman in the history, in my opinion, Rhonda, is A.G. Gaston and his protege who's sitting next to us. You're going to meet him a little later, Bob Dickerson.
Oh, yes. And we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, the A.G. Gaston Conference is in its 20th year.
Yes.
I'm so excited. Like it was yesterday. I remember like when this conference started because
I do too.
The founding father of this conference, we had a conversation years ago when he had a big giant telephone. I'm like, who is that guy with the big giant telephone? He was about business before business became business to me. So it's going to be you meeting this iconic figure in business in our area of state of Alabama and Birmingham. Is just, you're going to be amazed at the story and how this conference came to light.
And what a wonderful opportunity for business owners, to come to this conference, to get energized and motivated and inspired and learn a little bit while they're here.
I met Assistant Kayla Williams, who's been in the background over there. She was here at this very conference last year, and I went over to her and said, hey, what are you doing here? She was trying to get her business on track, small business beginner, and just great that developed her into a mentee.
Oh, wow.
And, it's just so much you can do here and people you can meet who can also help me. I became a mentee of hers. It's kind of a strange thing because she likes AI, and now I like AI. She told me, you must do this. And so I met her here at this conference.
Oh, wow.
So you meet so many dynamic people, and then you meet so many existing business people like Bob and banks and tourism and travel and PR and engineer, all kinds of stuff. And I'm telling you, this is where it starts.
It's like a potpourri. You got startup folks. You got people who've been in the business for a long time, and they're all in one place.
That's true.
People who are thinking about starting a business.
This is where you get energized, and this is where you get the information.
Yeah.
But before we go into that, let me do our consumer tip of the week. You
all
ready?
Right.
Here are what the tips are for small businesses like you. Be very specific with your small business goals. You've got to have some goals. You've got to be able to know where you're going, and if you don't get there, you can restart, and that's what a conference like this will do for you. Also, delegate whenever possible because you're just one person. Rhonda and I are always running. We were running so hard today, I'm surprised she made it. I'm more surprised I made it. She's more surprised I made it.
I'm surprised you got here before me because I'm usually waiting on
I was
Smoot.
so determined to get here before her because I knew she was going to say that.
Yep.
But I'm very patient, and she's like, okay. But normally, like you said, delegate because we had a lot going today.
Right.
And, not to mention the person who you're going to meet had so much going every day.
And that's a problem with a lot of business owners. They go into it trying to do everything.
That's true.
And you can't do everything, not if you want to grow.
Right, not if you want to grow. You're right. Find your best niche and stick with it. So find that niche business piece. Find what you can do in your sleep. Like I can do this in my sleep. We just turn on, turn up, and go without script. I mean, because we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
And I could create your show, your show, your show, your show, on your side, your side, your side.
Yeah.
And keep your day job. When you start business, don't quit your bread and butter job because you have to get out there, see what's going on, and make sure that, there may be some stumbles. I don't like to call them failures,
right?
But there may be some stumbles in life.
Learning opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep your day job and then branch into some other things. I know a lot of businesses were born through COVID.
Yep.
And avoid distractions at all costs, including family members, friends. Just avoid the distraction. You have to focus. And I like to say laser focus. So I am laser focused. My mind works every 15 minutes, built by one of those TV stations that make you run all day, right? And last but not least, remember to just relax. It's not going away. The day's not going away. I know you want to stay up all night, but there has to be a business me day, and you need to determine when to take that.
Yeah, work-life balance is so important because you can burn out very quickly.
Yeah. In fact, our guest was saying, look, come on, I'm tired. I got to go. I've been doing
He's ready to go home.
He's ready to go home. He's been up all for 20 days trying to get this conference on that. I told him it happens once a year.
Right.
So that is our consumer tip of the week. I'm Sheila Smoot.
And we will be right back with our guest.
Amazing guest. Right after this. Stay focused. into Focus. I'm Sheila Smoot.
And I'm Rhonda Robinson. And we have the man of the hour joining us, Mr. Bob Dickerson. How are you?
Bob Dickerson to you.
How are you?
Where is he?
I don't know where he went. Where did he go?
Somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's suited and booted, and
Hey.
he has one of the best conferences in the state of Alabama.
This is
Hey,
awesome.
Rhonda.
How are
Hey,
you?
Hey, Bob, here we go again.
again, what?
20
You know,
years.
but actually, we don't do this enough.
We need to do
You
it
know,
more.
We should do it periodic.
Yeah.
I agree.
Actually, we
In the
should
beginning
probably
of
do it
business.
at least quarterly,
Okay.
Let's
and
do
maybe
it.
more.
All right. Let's do
Often.
it.
Yeah, you helped
Okay.
a lot of people
I'm
over
good
the
with
last 20 years, the 20th year of the AG Gaston Conference. I am in total disbelief because I remember when you and your partners were talking about this, and you said, hey, I think I'm going to do this conference. I'm like, that sounds pretty good. I'm like, that's a big phone you got. This phone was so big back 20 years ago.
Was it one of those
All right,
bag
wait, hold on,
phones?
hold on.
Was
No,
it one of those?
No, okay. So I gotta interrupt because I gotta tell the story. It wasn't the conference; it was a countdown.
Oh,
There was a
okay.
countdown.
Right,
Okay.
Countdown.
So Sheila and
The
I
gospel
were
countdown.
we were at Silvertron.
Oh, okay.
So and I had one of those phones that was this big, and the antenna was like this. And so Sheila's like, "You should call Bill Tanner."
Yeah, I did.
And I said, "Okay, I'll call him tomorrow." Oh no, you'll call him today. I mean, I don't know if you know her.
I know her just a little bit.
Okay, well,
Oh,
she's insistent. And so I walk out of Silverton. I'm on the sidewalk
Right.
with my big phone,
Big phone.
my BAP, my big phone. I won't say that. It might be a G rated.
It is. You're okay.
Anyway, and I walk out, and so that was a big phone.
Right.
You know, those phones. I think that phone killed Reggie Lewis.
You do?
Yeah, they
No way.
said they were giving cancer.
Oh, right.
Oh,
because it was
really?
so
Because
much
all the
for all
waves,
the
and that was a
rays
big
and
phone.
everything.
Yeah.
So
But
anyway,
you used it for big business.
I
And you made that
yeah.
call and the
I was
rest
Only
is
important people had those big phones.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yes.
I didn't have a big phone.
I didn't have a
Rhonda.
phone at all. I don't even
Rhonda.
think I had a beeper.
Ron. Can I call? I don't know if this is a. So Lee Knowles was doing the countdown with us. What I did was the countdown at first. I just put the money up.
The Countdown is a gospel
Gospel
music
music
program
countdown.
syndicated that he created.
Right.
I put the money up, and it was Ron and Lee and Bridget and
Oh, Bridget.
Lee and and Doug was doing it.
Doug Ford.
And so Lee quit for some reason. So Ron came to me and said, "You should do your radio voice. You should do your radio voice
Yeah.
and do In the Black."
Okay.
Because I had done In the Black, was supposed to be Blackonomics In the Black. So
Okay.
so that's how I started. And we did it 25 years.
That is so cool.
Until
did.
Doug died.
Yeah, until
That
he
is
passed
so
away. Rest in
cool.
peace. Doug Ford was a great mastermind.
Wow.
Your engineer, musically, all
Yeah.
of that was just an amazing show. I did a couple of segments on there.
The
You know.
Gospel Industry Report.
Yep, the gospel
Really?
Industry Report,
Sheila
yeah.
Smith. Gospel
That's
Industry.
funny.
Yeah, we've been around.
So we'll have to dig that up because I'd love to check some of those out.
If we could find, the thing about it, Doug was the studio.
Okay.
And when you think about studio time, that's costly.
It
But
was
Doug
so
was our
costly.
partner. So
Right.
Doug did the recording, he mixed it, he put the show together. He produced the show. And when you think about production costs,
Back then, oh,
Yeah.
and really even before technology now makes it a little easier
Yeah.
and less expensive, but it's still not cheap.
It's not.
cheap.
It's not.
We know.
So when you are here and we're talking about 250 people at lunch, does it blow your mind when you think back to that original idea?
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So yes. So first year, 20 years, we may have had 100 people at lunch. Lunch might have been free, so that may have encouraged some people to be there. That might not have been there. But I've been telling people, like, for the last month that, yes, our backdrops have changed and our
Very
logo
nice.
has improved and, we're in a great facility. But our theory behind why we're doing it hasn't changed.
Right.
And I think that the consistency of the theory supporting black businesses, economic empowerment through enterprise development, one vision, one cause, elevating African American entrepreneurship. That piece of it hasn't changed. And I think because we've stayed focused and centered around that piece, all the other things that have changed in the country, in the economy, hasn't really affected us. So we've been able to stay true to our course, and true to really promoting A.G. Gaston as this iconic figure, through which black business development can emanate.
Wow.
So that's been our thing, and it's worked. We've grown. We got a lot better stuff now.
I bet.
Here we are. We're sitting here.
So
we didn't do this. We didn't do this
No,
in
you know
2005.
what?
I
Before,
guarantee.
and Rocket, our photographer, to attest to this, the cables and dragging up equipment, and it would have been like 20 million boxes around here, and you
Yeah.
saw how we just kind of sat down.
Times
looked
have
up,
changed.
And times have changed. The
Yeah.
equipment is much lighter, but like you said, things have changed. But I just remember that 20 years ago, and did you think it would be this now?
Honestly, we never thought about it.
Never
Yeah.
thought about
To be
it.
honest with you, we didn't start thinking about the fact that we're almost at 20 years until 2 or 3 years ago.
wow.
So, you go first annual, third,
Yeah.
fourth, 10th,
Yeah.
12th, 14th, and then you start saying, 15th? Where did the time go?
Where did the time
And
go?
so I think it was around the 15th conference that, it really dawned on us that we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And you've touched a lot of businesses over the
You
years.
have.
Are there any success stories that stand out in your mind?
Yeah, I can think of actually some of our award winners. We had tonight, we had Selena Rogers.
Oh, I
Dickerson,
was just looking at her booth over
with
there.
Sarkor.
Sarkor,
in fact,
yes.
everybody you see, when you see their booths in here tonight, I would think that they're a success story.
Townsend Advisory
3G,
Group.
Townsend,
Block Global
Slade.
for sure.
Wow.
Slade.
Yeah, all of these are success stories. But, bigger than that, the people that come to this conference don't necessarily end up with their name somewhere.
Right. Right.
But they benefit, they come back and they testify to their, to the fact that they benefited from it. We want to help businesses make connections.
Yeah.
Connections
that was
to financial institutions, and we have a number of them as our sponsors, connections to agencies that help small businesses that are part of our ecosystem, connections to certification agencies. So we want to help folks make the kinds of critical connections that really help them propel their businesses forward.
Who are some of the banking partners you have? I
So-
noticed you do have a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that's good because so many people want their attention.
Right.
And you got it.
Right.
Well, thank you, and and thank banks. Regions has been with us since day one.
Wow.
Wells Fargo. Well, in fact, when we started, it was Wachovia.
Yep.
That's right.
I remember.
And so then we've got First Horizon, we got Service First, we got
love
PNC,
them. Love
so
First Service
Renaissance,
Bank.
so and Valley, and so I hate to call them banks
Valley
names
is
'cause
great.
I'm gonna leave somebody out.
Truist.
But Truist, thank you for making sure I didn't leave them out. So if you think about every big banking brand that's operating in Birmingham, they're part of this country.
Legacy.
Yeah. Every big banking brand.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes.
Cadence.
It really
Yeah.
really
I wanted to
does.
not leave out Cadence. I just like Cadence.
You can put them in,
But
Yeah.
maybe they'll be here next year.
well,
But-
Cadence was fine. I like Cadence Bank, but you just have so many, you can't even fit them all in.
Sometimes.
So
well,
maybe maybe they should be trying to call you because it is a lot.
Yeah, well, and I've worked in banking and, being a part of the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, that keeps me close to banks in another way. And so, we understand the role of banks in our community. We do understand this. And I'll say this, and this is in deference to one of my best friends who founded the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, John Taylor, who says that banks are our community's best hope. But and what that is saying is that when banks leave our communities and when they divest, move out, close branches, then they leave communities devastated. And when you think about communities that don't have economic development, that aren't developing and growing small businesses, that the commercial and business infrastructure is abandoned, there's an absence of banks. And so we always have to be vigilant about trying to make sure that we keep banks there. And we, on a national level, fight banks that close branches, even though we may love them. And some of them may be on our brochure, but when they close a branch,
Right.
It does
we're still going to
impact the
hit them pretty
community,
hard.
Yeah,
particularly
it
urban
does.
communities.
Yeah.
When you see a closed bank branch, and I've seen several lately,
Me too.
it becomes, it's there, but
Yeah.
you know, I won't say which bank is closed and where it is, but I'll tell you later. Every time I see that building, it's a great building because a bank has a what? A vault. It's the most solid building you can buy if you're a small business and you see a closed bank in the community, buy it.
Yeah.
Got one for sale. I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I mean, it's the solid, but
Yeah.
you know, it does leave. But you know, one thing about them, even when they leave, they don't leave it destitute. They keep it up, but it's closed. And as you can see, what has happened in 5 Points West, there was a bank there forever across from the Birmingham Crossplex, and now it's a viable location for businesses.
That's
Yeah,
true.
That was a Regions Bank.
Yep.
And they moved really down Lum Avenue, so they didn't abandon the area.
Right.
Right.
The problem is when a bank moves and closes and there's no other bank for 2 or 3 miles. And we fought that in North Birmingham. We're fighting that in Roebuck right now. We're fighting that in off Finley Avenue right now.
Wow.
I'm not going to call the bank's names, but the point is when a bank closes and there's no bank within 2 or 3 miles, then the businesses, the customers, the people don't
They
have that
suffer.
many options.
Yep.
And so if you really think back, and I'm old enough to remember, I've been in banking a long time, that the closure of banks and banks pushing people out created the ascension of check cashers, title
Ah,
plans,
yes.
payday lenders.
Oh yeah.
and those
Predatory.
Predatory
financial
lending.
institutions.
Oh,
Right.
Talk to me as we wrap up this segment. Talk to me about over 20 years. I mean, what you've seen businesses come and go,
Yeah.
even ones you've helped. You've seen the pandemic destroy businesses. What are you telling the people for the next 10, 20 years? What are you telling them to prepare for at this conference? What is the next big thing in business for small businesses, Bob?
Well, small business owners really have to have the same mindset all the time. A, be prepared for anything because you never know what's going on. Because even before it was COVID, it was we don't buy your product anymore,
Right.
which is another kind of COVID. And so you've always got to be prepared. You've got to make sure that you have superior knowledge about your craft, your field, your area. Make sure you have the appropriate expertise, and then forge relationships. I have a friend that his slogan, and I'll borrow it, is that business moves at the speed of relationships.
It does. It
And
is
so
relationships.
when you're not developing appropriate relationships with the right people who are well placed to make the decisions that you need to have made to help your business,
Yeah.
then no matter how good you are, how
Right.
good your product is, you might just miss out.
Yep.
Right.
So business moves at the speed of relationships. Make sure you have the right relationships. From a financial standpoint, have your stuff together.
Right.
I mean, there's no way you should be in business and not have the basics and not understand what your basic information says to a potential customer, lender, or partner.
Yeah.
Your financials, your tax return, the kind of documentation you present. Everybody's going to look at that when they're considering doing business with you or partnering with you. So if your stuff says, oh, if your stuff throws up a yellow,
Right.
what's a yellow light? That's
Yeah.
caution. If your stuff throws up the yellow light, then you got a problem.
So get your
Or,
general
or the
liability.
red flag.
Get your general liability insurance on your business, and if you run in a commercial business with vehicles, you better get something on those too.
Make sure you
And
got a
yes,
green light.
Make sure you got the green
Yeah.
light.
Make sure you got a
That's
green
something
light.
a lot of business owners learned the hard way during
Licenses.
COVID, because they didn't have their paperwork
Oh, yeah,
together.
yeah,
Oh,
COVID
that
was-
is so
was
right.
So they
very-
missed out on a lot
Missed
of
out.
loans and grants and
They
Sure,
sure
no,
opportunities.
A lot of people in COVID, they said, okay, if you have employees,
Yep.
then you can get some money.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the evidence that you have employees?
Right.
Yep.
Payroll.
Bam.
Payroll.
Okay, if you pay rent somewhere, then you can get some money. So what's the evidence that you're paying rent? You got a lease.
You got a
Brick and
lease.
mortar,
You
you
got
got a
some
lease.
cancel checks.
Yep.
If you paying utility bills, then you can get some money.
You
So
got
what's the
a
so if
bill.
you don't have the evidence
Right.
Wow.
of having employees, having a facility that you lease, paying utilities, then all that money you could have got, oops,
It's
you
gone.
can't get.
Right.
And so that's important. I'll tell you one other thing about COVID and what it taught. Not only do you need all your documentation and to really be in business and be legitimate, quote unquote, you better have a relationship
You better have a relationship
With a bank.
with a banker,
with a bank.
a
Yep.
bank
Girl.
and a banker.
A banker. That's right.
Yep. You better.
Somebody at the bank needs to know your name
Yep.
and know you when you walk in.
Yeah.
That's right.
And say, hey Sheila, hey
Yep.
Rhonda,
I got that.
I
And-
know you.
Yes.
Yep.
Somebody
I like
needs-
small banks for that reason.
Yeah. Somebody's got to know who you are.
Yep.
Because if they don't, then they're going to give the COVID money, which was like a freebie, to their friends that they know.
Yeah, that they know. It's
They
all
don't call
relationship
everybody they know.
based.
My banker called me and said, hey, man, get your paperwork in.
There we go, talking
'cause you
about
can
those
get-
relationships
Because-
again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So make sure you know some bankers. And I will say this, and I'm going to be quiet because I know I'm looking at the clock. Oh, shoot, I could talk another hour.
Another 3 minutes.
But if you have a problem getting to know a banker and getting bankers to be receptive to you, that's when I want to come in. Because that's when I want to say, hey, wait a minute,
Yeah.
what's your problem?
Wow.
Rhonda's been calling you and you don't call her back.
That's right.
Sheila has a good business. You need to know her. You need her business as much as she needs yours. And so we have to push that thing from both ends to push banks toward people and people toward banks.
And that Community Reinvestment Act is real,
It is.
Bob. I mean, you
Just got more real.
yeah, it got more real. You taught me that. Community reinvestment. I didn't know what CRA was, and I truly believe in banks. And my dad always taught me to go to a small bank. And it said something. They told me to get to know my banker because my father would go up to the bank, small bank in Michigan, and I'm thinking every time he went to the bank, he got what he wanted. He knew the banker. He had a direct relationship. It didn't matter what it was. They knew my dad.
Yeah.
And I remember my mother, we had gotten some new furniture. I'm like, oh, this is nice. How'd y'all get that? And my mother said, we got it on our face. I'm like, they got it on their face? Guess what? They went to see the bank. They had good credit. They went in, but guess what? It didn't even matter if they had good credit or not. They went to a furniture store. The guy knew them so well. They're like, Mr. Smoot, we know him. He gonna pay us. They just gave it to him, but he paid. But he developed relationships.
Yeah.
And I watched that over the years with my parents, and they just had good, strong relationships with people.
Before we go, though, because we did start this conversation about the conference, for those who are watching and they're hearing about the conference for the first time, I don't know where you've been,
For
under
20
a rock
years.
somewhere, but
20 years.
tell them
AG
about it.
Gaston,
Tell them
yeah.
about it if they're just hearing about it.
And to
A.G.
that
Gaston
end,
Conference honoring A.G. Gaston. If you don't know who he is, then Google him. He was the entrepreneur of the 20th century. as per Black Enterprise magazine, he owned burial societies, insurance companies, funeral homes, cemeteries, a bank, real estate companies, construction companies, radio stations, started a Boys and Girls Club, had a business college, and I'm probably missing 2 or 3 things. So this was a phenomenal businessman who operated his businesses right here in Birmingham. He was a man who vertically and horizontally integrated businesses with an 8th grade education. Was at one point had a net worth of over $150 million. Employed easily over 1,000 people during his business career.
Wow.
And it's certainly somebody who is iconic enough and important enough to us to honor every Black History Month here in Birmingham.
And it was that phrase where you, the niche and
Find a need and fill it.
find a need and fill it.
Yeah.
When I first got here, somebody gave me that book, and Bob, thank you for giving me another one of those books. Find a need and fill it. And you said something, he owned multiple businesses, so it is okay for people that own more than one business.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to have to wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron.
You are just a wealth of information.
You are a walking
And we
business
just love talking to you and picking your brain and learning from you. So we
Okay.
got to have them back.
I just want to thank you for your friendship
Thank you.
and your business mentorship. And I really, really allowing all of us people to pick your brain without having to pay for it. Running the Business Resource Center, having this 20th AG Gaston Conference, and mentoring all of the people. It's just been a journey, and I can't even believe it's 20 years. I'm just so honored to know you, actually.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Thank
you. And also, I thank his wife because she got to put up with him. The rest of us get to leave him around at 5.
We thank y'all so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. And we will see you next time.
That's right. From Rhonda
All right.
Robinson to Sheila Smoot, I'm Sheila Smoot. And don't forget to stay focused.